Imagine a woman walking into a crowded cafe. No one hears her footsteps. No one notices her elaborate dress. Yet in an instant, conversations subtly pause. Every gaze turns to her not because of some dazzling appearance, but because of a mysterious energy radiating from her. That energy doesn't come from her smile or her words, but from her very presence, like a quiet flame suddenly glowing in the dark. Have you ever met someone who made you want to keep looking just to figure out why they were effortlessly magnetic? Modern science calls it charisma, but Carl Jung would tell you it's the light of someone who has accepted themselves completely, shadows and all. No one is born with this kind of allure. It only emerges when you dare to face your shadow, the dark parts of your subconscious where fear, envy, pain, and unhealed wounds hide. Jung once said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So why is it that some people who aren't young or conventionally beautiful still possess a magnetism that makes it impossible to look away? It's because they don't need approval to feel worthy. They don't wait to be chosen. They are the ones doing the choosing. They don't play the good girl just to be loved, nor do they live to avoid criticism. They embrace themselves fully with every desire, mistake, and scar. That's what creates a raw, primal attraction, something we can't quite explain, but can't help being drawn to. Deep down, we all long for the freedom they embody, freedom from judgmental eyes from societies, expectations from the exhausting roles we've played since childhood. Ask yourself, have you ever looked back at your choices and realized they were made just to be accepted instead of coming from your true self? Have you ever felt drained trying to become a perfect version of yourself? Let's be honest, most of us live like that. And then we wonder, why do we never feel like we're enough? In today's video, it'll take you on the journey Jung called individuation, where you break free from other shadows to become your own unique self, where you can sit alone without feeling lonely and be silent without feeling empty. You'll see how the most captivating women aren't trying to stand out. They've simply made peace with their inner world, and that's what makes their magnetism natural and impossible to imitate. And if you're ready, we'll begin with the first step, understanding the difference between living from yourself versus living from your ego, because this is the foundation for every deep transformation to come. Don't miss it, because up next, it'll reveal why the moment a woman stops needing to be loved, that's exactly when she becomes truly irresistible. Have you ever wondered why sometimes you feel like you're playing a role that isn't truly yours, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't find peace? Carl Jung called this state living from the ego, the social self that acts only to avoid rejection, to gain approval, to ensure psychological survival amid endless expectations. Ego is necessary for life, but when it takes control, we forget the self, the true essence, the center of the soul, where freedom, joy, and deep connection reside. A woman living from ego is constantly tossed around, happy today, when praised, devastated tomorrow when criticized. Every comment becomes proof of her worth or her lack of it. She's easily hurt, quick to anger, and often fearful. To be loved, she bends herself into sweet or tough masks, but all of this only pushes her further away from who she truly is. On the other hand, someone living from self doesn't need to pretend to be strong or sweet. She doesn't live to please others. When she walks into a room, she doesn't try to become the center of attention, yet her presence draws people in. It's a quiet but unshakable calm, a peaceful yet profound energy that radiates from someone who has made peace with her inner world. Carl Jung wrote, "The ego is the center of consciousness, but the self is the center of the entire psyche, including the parts we dare not face." Reflect for a moment, how many times have you nodded in agreement just to avoid misunderstanding? How many times have you smiled when you didn't want to stay silent, when you should have spoken up or endured what you should have walked away from? That's when your ego was steering the wheel and yourself was abandoned. A woman's true magnetism begins the moment she pauses and asks herself, who am I really living for? That pause isn't weakness, it's the starting point of freedom. In that moment, instead of rushing to please, you can listen to your heart. Instead of fearing abandonment, you realize no one can truly leave you unless you abandon yourself. A clear sign you're living from self is the ability to say no when you need to without apologizing or over-explaining. When you say yes, it's a heartfelt yes, not a fearful one. This integrity makes you mysteriously attractive. People around you can feel the clarity and consistency in your energy, something rare in a world full of anxiety and pretense. Your practice. Get a journal dedicated to your journey back to yourself. Each night, take 15 minutes to write honestly. What did I do today just to be loved or to avoid being disliked? When did I say yes but really wanted to say no? When did I feel afraid of losing my worth, and where did that fear come from? Don't edit or judge, just write. After a week, you'll start to see the patterns of your ego's repetitive reactions. Awareness is the first step to stop being controlled by them. Inner dialogue exercise. On a quiet morning, find a spot where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and visualize a figure representing your ego. It could be a person, an animal, or a colored shape. Talk to it. Ask why it's so afraid, what it needs from you to feel safe. Don't force it into silence, just listen. Write down this dialogue afterward. This helps you start separating from your ego instead of being unconsciously fused with it. Connect with the community. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. To grow free and confident from within, share your feeling stories or moments of realization in the comments. By reading others' experiences, you'll see your own darkness illuminated through the wisdom of the community. When we dare to tell our truths, the fear of judgment begins to dissolve. But even understanding the difference between self and ego isn't enough, because there's a deeper, more dangerous part inside us, the shadow, where we hide everything we once denied, buried, or rejected. If we don't bring light to this darkness, it will keep controlling us from the shadows of our unconscious. In the next part, we'll explore together, what exactly is the shadow? Why does it make you lose control so easily? And how can you turn your darkness into an ally instead of an enemy? Stay tuned, because only by daring to face and enter your shadow can you find true freedom and become a woman who is not just magnetic, but an inspiration to everyone around her. Have you ever wondered why a single negative emotion can so easily knock you down, even after you've read dozens of self-help books and listened to hundreds of inspiring podcasts? It's because there's a part of you still hiding in the shadows. A part you'd rather not touch, yet it quietly dictates your decisions, feelings, and behaviors every day. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the inner darkness. The shadow isn't something evil. It's simply the collection of everything you once rejected because you thought, I'm not allowed to feel this, from jealousy, anger, and the need to control, to vulnerability, hurt, and fear. As a child, maybe you heard good girls don't get angry, or if you want to be loved, you have to always be cheerful. So you started pushing those unacceptable feelings into the dark, denying them to be accepted. But what's denied doesn't disappear. It sinks deep into the subconscious, waiting for a chance to explode. Imagine if you've never faced your anger, it will erupt fiercely when triggered, maybe over a small argument or a late text reply. If you've never acknowledged your fear of abandonment, it will make you act clingy, controlling, or panicked when your partner seems distant. When the shadow goes unrecognized, it becomes a secret puppeteer while you mistake it for your personality. Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Facing your shadow isn't about hating or eliminating it. It's about realizing that your darkness also holds energy, creativity, and self-protection. When you face and befriend your shadow, it becomes an ally that helps you grow stronger, more confident, and truly free. Daily reflection, exploring your shadow. Pick one negative emotion you felt often lately: jealousy, anger, insecurity. Each day, free write your answers to these questions. How did I feel when this emotion came up? What am I most afraid would happen if I let this emotion show? Was I ever criticized as a child for having this emotion? If this emotion could talk, what would it say to me? Write continuously for 10-15 minutes without editing. This is the first step to bringing the unconscious into consciousness. Practice active imagination with your shadow. After meditation or during a quiet moment, imagine yourself walking into a dark room, your shadow's hiding place. Call your shadow to appear. It might show up as a person, an animal, or a swirling dark mist. Ask it, what do you want from me? What are you most afraid of? When did you first appear in my life? Listen without judgment. When the conversation ends, thank your shadow for showing up. Record everything in your journal. This practice helps you realize that darkness loses its power when you face it. The power of facing your shadow. When you avoid your shadow, it controls you. But when you face it, you reclaim your power. The most magnetic women know their darkness and don't let it run the show. They can calmly say, I'm feeling jealous, I'm angry, or I'm insecure, then handle it with awareness instead of lashing out. This self-awareness is a primal kind of magnetism. No makeup or social skill can replace it. Connect and share. Share your experiences with your shadow in the comments. Which feelings did you once think were ugly but now realize they're part of you? Honest sharing helps you and others feel safer, understood, and less alone. Remember, when one person tells their truth, it gives others permission to explore their own. Shadow as hidden potential. Most people don't realize the shadow also holds forgotten gifts, creativity, courage, the rebellious spark needed to break old limits. Sometimes your anger shows up because you haven't protected yourself in too long. Jealousy can appear when you've abandoned your own dreams. Once you understand these messages, you can transform your shadow into a powerful driver for growth. Think of Elizabeth Gilbert's story in Eat, Pray, Love. She admitted to jealousy, disappointment, and pride instead of pretending to be fine. By facing her shadow, she wrote a book that touched millions and inspired them to live authentically. What might you unlock if you start meeting your shadow today? Benefits of befriending your shadow. You stop overreacting to criticism. You no longer fear losing your worth if someone leaves. You know how to protect yourself without becoming cold or harsh. You feel free to show your true self, weakness, and strength without fearing judgment. What's next? Even as you start making peace with your shadow, your journey to becoming a free magnetic woman isn't over. Because beyond the shadow, there's another layer deeply affecting your inner attraction, the balance of anima, the feminine energy, and animus, the masculine energy within each of us. In the next part, we'll explore together. How do you know if you're leaning too heavily into your anima or animus? Why does balancing these energies create a mysterious, undeniable magnetism? And how can you practice harmonizing them so you become both soft and strong? Stay tuned. Understanding and balancing your anima and animus could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for on the path to your truest, most captivating self. After daring to face your shadow, you might think your journey to inner freedom is nearly complete. But the truth is, there's still a deeper door to open the balance between two core archetypal energies, anima and animus. Carl Jung believed every person contains both masculine energy animus and feminine energy anima within. No one embodies only one side, and true magnetism doesn't come from being just feminine or just assertive. It arises from the harmonious blending of both. Anima is the feminine archetype in the male unconscious, but women also have an anima manifesting as gentleness, emotional sensitivity, empathy, and receptivity. Animus is the masculine archetype in the female unconscious, showing up as decisiveness, inner strength, rationality, and the drive to take action. When these energies fall out of balance, you'll find yourself constantly disconnected from your core or stuck in unhealthy relationship patterns. Signs of imbalance: leaning too far into anima, extreme feminine energy, being overly accommodating, unable to say no, easily manipulated, living entirely by emotions, making impulsive decisions you later regret, waiting for someone else to save or complete you, avoiding responsibility, becoming clingy and secure, or idealizing your partner out of fear of losing them. Signs of imbalance: leaning too far into animus, extreme masculine energy, needing to control everything, including others' emotions, acting tough to the point of denying your own vulnerability, fearing weakness, communicating harshly, judgmentally, with little empathy, believing only I'm right, refusing input, isolating yourself emotionally. Signs you've balanced anima and animus: You can listen to your feelings without being overwhelmed and think rationally when needed without freezing your heart. You can say no kindly but firmly. In relationships, you neither cling nor dominate. You build mutual respect and companionship. You're comfortable alone without feeling lonely, and you can join a group without losing yourself. Imagine a woman facing a heated argument. If she's too far into anima, she might cry or apologize repeatedly, even if she's not at fault, just to soothe the other person. If she's too far into animus, she'll raise her voice, insist on winning at all costs, and ignore the other person's feelings. But if she's balanced, she'll listen attentively, state her opinion clearly, and respond calmly. Criticism won't break her. Praise won't inflate her. That's the quiet power of inner harmony. Why balancing anima and animus matters. Because if you don't, you'll likely swing to extremes, either avoiding responsibility or pushing yourself to exhaustion. When balanced, you become emotionally mature, unshaken by relationships or circumstances trying to pull you off center. Jung called this the union of opposites, a cornerstone of individuation. Practice journaling your energy balance. Each day, write in your journal, "Today did I lean more toward anima or animus? In which moments was I too soft or too controlling? If I could do it again, how would I act to stay grounded, yet respect emotions?" Spend 10 minutes answering these questions nightly. You'll soon see your behavioral patterns emerge. Practice inner energy dialogue. In a quiet place, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine two figures, one representing your anima, perhaps a gentle woman, a flowing stream or moonlight. One representing your animus, perhaps a warrior, a mountain or a lion. Let them have a conversation in your mind. What do they complain about? What do they want you to do? Record the entire dialogue. Over time, you'll gain insight into how these energies clash or cooperate within you. Connect and share. Comment below this video, do you feel you lean more toward anima or animus? Have you experienced imbalance and how has it affected your life? Sharing your story will help others see they're not alone on this journey. Benefits of balancing anima and animus. You won't panic about expressing feelings or making big decisions. You feel confident without needing to overcompensate or shrink yourself. Your relationships become healthier with less drama and more mutual respect. You no longer feel forced to choose between being gentle or strong. You can embody both. Only when anima and animus are in harmony can you start experiencing true inner freedom. But even then, if you don't find your purpose, you could slip back into patterns of proving yourself dependence and feeling lost. In the next part, we'll explore together, how do you discover a purpose that doesn't depend on being loved or praised? Why does purpose naturally draw people toward you? And how can you build a meaningful life even if no one else believes in you yet? Stay tuned because this next step could transform you from a woman who's simply free into a woman who inspires the world. One of the harshest truths of modern life is that many people only exist but don't truly live with purpose. They chase relationships to fill their loneliness, bury themselves in work to prove their worth, or distract themselves with endless shopping and entertainment to momentarily forget the emptiness inside. But Carl Jung once warned he who has no purpose will soon suffer from anxiety, depression, or psychological disarray. Without purpose, all success, beauty, and relationships are like sandcastles. A single wave can wash them away. Purpose isn't something to show off on social media or to earn admiration. Purpose is the deep reason you get out of bed each morning, even on the hardest days. It's the connection to your core values, the things that make you feel alive and authentic, so you no longer need to hide behind a mask. How to find your core values. 1. Reflect on moments when you felt most alive and true to yourself. Maybe helping someone, creating something, inspiring others, or standing up for what's right. Write down at least 5 such moments. 2. Look for patterns, what kept repeating in those moments. For example, you always tried to heal others or you consistently sought fairness. 3. Turn those patterns into core values, e.g. healing, value of compassion, fighting for justice, value of integrity. 4. Ask yourself, if today were my last day, what do I want people to remember me for? Your answer points directly to your core values. How to build your personal purpose. Identify the core values you discovered above. Ask, how do I want to bring this value to life in my daily actions? For example, if your value is connection, your purpose might be creating a community where people feel they belong. Turn your purpose into small concrete actions, teaching writing, volunteering, creating art. Write a short purpose statement, e.g., I live to spark courage in those who are afraid. Real life example. Malala Yousafzai, after miraculously surviving an assassination attempt, didn't hide or live just to prove her strength. She built a clear purpose to fight for every girl's right to education. That purpose not only healed her, but turned her pain into a torch, lighting the way for millions. What happens without purpose? You get stuck in a cycle of earning, spending, earning more, never knowing why. In love, you look for someone to complete you, leading to dependency and exhaustion. Failure devastates you because you lack a bigger reason to rise again. Even when everything looks fine outside, you feel hollow inside. When you find your purpose, you no longer need anyone else's validation. Your worth lives in every purposeful action you take. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow instead of a threat. People feel naturally drawn to your consistent, grounded energy. They might not know why, but they want to be near you. You find peace and calm even amidst life's storms. Practice 3-sentence declaration. Take 15 minutes to complete these prompts. What breaks my heart the most when I look around is, I want the world to be different in this way, and I believe I can contribute by. Combine your 3 answers into a short declaration and place it somewhere you'll see every day. Practice purpose-driven weekly planner. At the end of each week plan, next week I will do at least one concrete action related to my purpose. For example, if your purpose is healing, call someone going through a crisis and truly listen. If it's inspiring others, share your honest story online. Connect and share. Share in the comments what core value or purpose are you working toward. If you haven't found it yet, don't hesitate to write, I'm still searching. By sharing your journey, you take the first step to turning your longing into reality and help others see they're not alone. Muck Jeek shows you where you're headed, but no one becomes whole with purpose alone. Carl Jung believed individuation isn't about becoming perfect, but about learning to accept yourself as incomplete, flawed, and still moving forward. In the next part, we'll explore together why the desire to be perfect robs you of freedom, how to live fully even when you still carry wounds, and why becoming yourself is life's greatest privilege. Stay with us because this final piece will complete the puzzle of how to become not only a free woman, but one who shines in a way no one else can replicate. Many people believe individuation is a state you reach once you're spiritually advanced enough. But Carl Jung insisted individuation isn't a destination. It's a lifelong journey where you gradually move from the confusion of false personas toward uniting the scattered pieces of your soul. Without understanding this, you can easily fall into the trap of pretending to be enlightened while still fighting storms inside. Stage 1, self-awareness, the first light into the darkness. Every individuation journey begins the moment you pause and ask yourself, who am I beyond these social masks I'm wearing? Signs you've started. You feel conflicted, trying to please everyone. You're exhausted from maintaining an image that no longer fits. Practice, write down your 3 biggest social roles, e.g., always cheerful girl, perfect employee partner who never shows jealousy. Then ask, which of these roles are true, which are performances? This is when you begin to see whose expectations you've been living for and what part of you longs to live authentically. Stage 2, facing the shadow, the darkest room of the soul. Awareness alone isn't enough because much of what drives you hides in the dark. In this stage, you begin to bravely look at your ugly feelings. You've buried jealousy, hatred, vulnerability. Signs. You get intensely triggered by criticism. You find yourself hating someone because they mirror traits you dislike in yourself. Practice, continue your shadow journal, or seek therapy, self-coaching to explore your strongest emotional reactions of the week. Stage 3, integration, piecing together your fragmented self. Once you see your shadow, you realize many parts of you are like shattered mirrors. Individuation isn't about eliminating the shadow, but reintegrating those parts into your whole self. Signs. You can say I'm jealous without shame. You recognize anger as a signal, not an enemy. Practice. Whenever negative emotions arise, don't judge. Ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Write it down and find ways to turn it into motivation instead of letting it control you. Stage 4, union of opposites, harmonizing anim and animus. After accepting the shadow, you'll clearly see your inner extremes, softness versus strength emotion versus logic. This stage teaches you not to pick a side, but to let both coexist in harmony. Signs. You can stand firm in your opinions without losing empathy. You know when to be gentle and when to be assertive. Practice. Before making a big decision, take a few minutes to consider both logic and feelings. Write out both perspectives and find a balanced solution. Stage 5, living with purpose. The reason to keep moving forward. Individuation isn't just about self-knowledge. It's about committing to a purpose beyond needing approval from others. Signs. You find deep joy in what you believe in, even without external applause. You don't crave constant praise to feel fulfilled. Practice each morning. Remind yourself, I'm doing this because of my core value of Eden our one. If your actions don't align, course correct as soon as you can. Stage 6, becoming, a process that never ends. You'll never be finished, but now you're at peace with being a work in progress. You stop comparing yourself with others because you know your path is uniquely yours. Signs. You willingly share your mistakes, journey, and truths without fear of judgment. Practice each week. Pick a moment you once felt ashamed of and rewrite that story from a kinder perspective toward yourself. Individuation is not a path everyone dares to walk, but you don't have to do it alone. Share below this video what stage do you think you're in right now. Are you becoming more self-aware, facing your shadow, or learning to integrate your inner opposites? Your comment not only helps you see your progress, but also inspires others walking the same path. Individuation has no finish line. Every time you live a bit more authentically, every time you listen to your fears, instead of running, you step closer to your true self. But ultimately, individuation isn't just about finding yourself. It's about becoming a light for others without forcing anyone to change, simply by existing as proof that living authentically is the most beautiful way to live. In the final part, I'll share how to sustain your individuation journey daily, avoid slipping back into ego or shadow traps, and build a community where we support each other in becoming our most free, confident, and radiant selves. Don't miss it, because this will be the key to not just understanding, but truly living your authentic life. Perhaps one of the deepest fears we rarely speak aloud is this: if I show my true self, will anyone stay? We fear being abandoned, unloved, labeled as too much or not enough. These fears often push us into two extremes. Either we mold ourselves into a pleasant version for everyone, or we build a tough shell so no one can get close. But Carl Jung reminds us, becoming yourself is not about being loved more, but about freeing yourself from the fear of being disliked. When you begin the individuation journey, you're not just moving toward freedom, you're also stepping into a necessary loneliness, solitude that helps you hear your own voice. But don't be afraid, because this kind of loneliness is not the same as emptiness. It's a quiet space where you discern what truly matters, what's a whisper of fear, what choices you make from self-love, and what reactions come from old wounds. Individuation doesn't make you perfect. Quite the opposite, it lets you see your cracks, then teaches you how to love them. A woman walking the individuation path doesn't need to boast about her achievements, because she knows value lies not in trophies, but in the courage to never abandon herself. She understands every step forward or backward is a lesson, and no mistake can strip her of her worth. Signs you've entered this stage of growth. You don't panic when misunderstood. You'll clarify if needed, but won't sacrifice your peace trying to force others to believe you. You can say, I don't know, instead of pretending expertise. You realize anyone who leaves because you're authentic isn't someone you need to keep. You find joy in small moments, reading a book, caring for yourself, having honest conversations with those you trust. Practice, write a letter to yourself. Take 30 minutes one quiet evening to write a letter to yourself today, from the perspective of yourself 5 years from now. In the letter, share, what are you proud that your current self dared to do? What fears do you still carry, and how do you believe you'll overcome them? What do you deserve, even if you've made mistakes? Keep this letter as a personal commitment. Whenever you feel tempted to slip back into old roles, read it to remember you don't need anyone's permission to live truthfully. Practice, write your biggest fear. At the top of a journal page, write, "The biggest fear keeping me from being authentic is," and finish the sentence. Don't edit, just write. Fear only holds power when hidden. Naming it helps you reclaim control. Connect and share. Share your journey in the comments. What's your biggest fear about living your truth? Or share a moment you dared to be yourself and felt freer because of it. Your story will give strength to many others, just starting out people who need to know they're not fighting alone. What changes when you live authentically? You naturally attract the right people instead of exhausting yourself pleasing everyone. You build deeper connections because they're founded on truth, not pretense. Your anxiety eases because you no longer worry about playing the right role. You become a light sparking courage in others. When they see you living honestly, they feel inspired to do the same. Individuation isn't an easy path, but it's the only one leading you to true freedom. In the final part of this video, I'll share how to sustain your individuation journey in everyday life. How do you avoid slipping back into old roles when facing pressure? How can you create an environment and community that supports your authenticity long-term? And how do you keep your inner flame of freedom burning strong through every stage of life? Stay until the end because the conclusion will give you a roadmap to turn understanding into lasting action, so you not only start your journey, but keep living as your true self. And now, if you've made it all the way to this moment, take a pause, breathe deeply and ask yourself, are you ready to fully become yourself without waiting for anyone's permission? Let that question resonate within you, because the instant you place your hand on your heart and dare to answer honestly is the moment you step onto what Carl Jung called the privilege of a lifetime, the journey of becoming who you truly are. This journey doesn't require you to be perfect. It only asks you to be brave, brave enough to sit with your fears, brave enough to move through bad days without slipping back into old roles, brave enough to tell yourself, even if I'm not ready, I will still choose to live authentically. Your true magnetism won't come from trying to prove yourself, but from the alignment between who you show to the world and the voice deep within you. You will stumble, you will doubt, and you will certainly feel lonely at times. But remember, every storm only tests your roots, and it's through facing these storms that you grow stronger and more authentic. Let every failure, every tear, every fear become a brick in the foundation of a more resilient, more real you. If today you feel lost, know that right now, somewhere out there, there are others like you searching for their way back to themselves. Use the comment section below as a safe space, a place to share your fears, your stories, or even just a simple still on my journey. Because when you dare to speak, you not only help yourself, but also shine a light for others who are exhausted from trying to live up to expectations. If this video has resonated with you, don't hesitate to subscribe. Not because I care about the numbers, but because I hope we can keep meeting here as we explore ourselves through Jung's lens, from shadow archetypes and the self to individuation. Each week, I'll share insights, stories, and practices to help you not just understand, but truly live steadily and inspired. And please share what in this video made you pause and reflect the most. What will you try today to live more authentically? Start with one small action like writing down your biggest fear or sending this video to someone else who's also searching for themselves. One story, one small action can change not just your life, but also touch the hearts of those around you. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." I believe you are ready to let go of the dream of a perfect image and begin to awaken to the freedom of your true self. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for daring to step into the journey of becoming yourself. Let this journey not be yours alone, but a path we discover together.